Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real today, and I want you to hear me with your heart, not just your ears. Whoever does this secretly hates you. You see everybody smiling at you ain't your friend. Everybody clapping for you ain't celebrating you. Some folks, they just waiting for you to fall so they can say, I told you so. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about something that a lot of people feel, but few are brave enough to admit. Envy. It hides in plain sight, dressed up as casual comments, disguised as friendly advice, and wrapped in smiles that don't reach the eyes. You see, people who constantly downplay your success, they're not being humble, they're not being real. They're quietly fighting a battle inside them, a battle where your success is a threat to their comfort zone. When you start to rise, when you begin to shine, it makes them uncomfortable because now they have to face the fact that they stayed in the same place while you move forward. And instead of clapping for you, they try to clip your wings. Instead of lifting you higher, they want to pull you back down to where they are. It starts small. Maybe you achieve something, and instead of saying, wow, that's amazing, they say, well, it's not that big of a deal. Or they tell you anybody could have done that. That little sentence right there is not harmless. It's loaded with hidden resentment. What they're really saying is, I wish it was me. They can't handle the fact that you're doing something they didn't dare to try, so they minimize your victory to protect their fragile ego. And let me tell you something. The people who do this the most are often the ones closest to you, family, friends, colleagues, because they thought they knew your limits. They thought they had you figured out. And when you break out of that box they put you in, it shakes their whole world. You've got to watch how people react to your good news. That's the test. The ones who love you, who truly support you, will be the loudest cheerleaders. Their joy will be genuine. You'll feel it. But the ones who secretly envy you will give you weak applause. They'll nod and smile, but there will be something missing, excitement. They'll quickly change the subject, or worse, start talking about their own achievements just to overshadow yours. That's because your success shines a spotlight on their inaction. It reminds them of the dreams they gave up on, the risks they were too afraid to take. And rather than facing that uncomfortable truth, they'd rather make you feel smaller so they can feel bigger. And here's another trick they use. They call it keeping you grounded. They'll say things like, don't let it get to your head, or stay humble. Now, humility is important, no doubt. But when someone keeps repeating that every time you win, they're not trying to keep you grounded, they're trying to keep you down. Because if you start believing in your own greatness, if you start seeing how powerful you really are, they know they won't be able to control you anymore. They fear your confidence because it threatens their comfort zone. Ladies and gentlemen, I've seen it too many times. People with incredible talent hold themselves back because someone close to them kept whispering, you're not that special, or it's not a big deal. And they believed it. They dimmed their light so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable. But let me tell you, your light is not too bright. Their shades are too weak. Don't shrink to make others feel safe. Don't apologize for your success. Your achievements are not accidents. They are the results of your hard work, your sacrifices, and your courage. And anybody who tries to downplay that is showing you exactly where they stand. So pay attention. Listen not just to the words people say, but to the energy behind them. When someone keeps minimizing your wins, that's not humility speaking, that's envy. And envy is silent hate. Protect your dreams from these subtle attacks. Stand tall in your success, celebrate your victories, and surround yourself with people who clap loudly, not the ones who clap quietly while hoping you fail. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get real today. There's a certain kind of person you got to watch out for. The one who smiles in your face but carries resentment in their heart. You know the type. They shower you with compliments, but somehow those words don't sit right. You can feel it. Because not every "I'm so happy for you" is real. Some people will praise you, but deep down, they can't stand to see you win. Their words say one thing, but their spirit says another. That's fake love, dressed up to look like support. And if you don't learn to recognize it, you'll keep opening doors for people who are secretly trying to close them behind your back. Fake compliments are dangerous because they create confusion. You start questioning yourself, wondering, are they really proud of me? Or is there something else going on? That's exactly what they want. They want you off balance. They want you second-guessing your own success. They'll say things like, "Oh, look at you, big shot now," with a smile, but that little twist in their tone, that's the resentment leaking out. They're not celebrating you. They're mocking you in disguise. They want to remind you that no matter how far you go, they're still waiting to pull you back. And some of them, they get real slick with it. They'll say, "You deserve it, but don't forget where you came from." Now, that sounds sweet, right? But listen closer. What they're really saying is, don't rise too high because I need you to stay on my level. And here's the truth. People who give real compliments, they don't feel threatened by your success. They're secure in themselves. But the ones who feel small when you get big, they can't handle your shine. So they fake the clap. They put on a mask of support while their hearts boil with jealousy. And if you're not careful, you'll let those fake compliments sink into your mind and make you play small. That's why you've got to develop the wisdom to see through sweet words that carry sour intentions. But it doesn't stop there. Let's talk about the ones who only show up when you fail, or they're quick to come running when you're down, when everything's falling apart. Suddenly they've got time for you. Suddenly they're worried and concerned. But where were they when you were climbing, when you were winning? Nowhere, because your success makes them uncomfortable, but your struggle makes them feel superior. They feed off your failure. It gives them a little boost to their fragile ego. When you fall, it makes them feel taller. So they come around pretending to care, but deep down, they're smiling at your pain. And you got to be sharp enough to notice this pattern. See, real friends, real supporters, they're there for the whole journey, the ups and the downs. They cheer when you win and lift you when you fall. But the ones who disappear when you're shining and reappear when you're struggling, they don't wish you well. They wish you to stay beneath them because that's the only way they feel important. They won't clap when you're on stage, but they'll be front row when you slip, ready to say, "I knew it." That's not love. That's hidden hate waiting for its chance. So when you're winning, pay attention to who's silent. And when you're losing, pay attention to who suddenly finds their voice. That will tell you everything you need to know about who's real and who's faking it. Your job is to protect your spirit from those fake claps and those smiling faces that hide resentment. Because the people who only show up for your failure are the same ones secretly hoping you never get back up. Ladies and gentlemen, there's something ugly that happens when you start stepping into your greatness. People who once clapped for you start whispering about you. Gossip begins to spread like wildfire, and the sad part is it rarely comes from strangers. It comes from people you thought were in your corner. It's one thing for an enemy to talk bad about you, you expect that. But when it's someone who once called you family, someone who hugged you, someone who said they had your back, that hits different. When people gossip about you behind your back, that's not just idle talk, that's hidden hate with a voice. It's bitterness taking form. They can't confront you because deep down they know they have no reason to. You didn't do anything but succeed. And for some people, that's enough to turn admiration into resentment. The ones who gossip about you are revealing something important. They're showing you that they never believed in you the way you thought they did. They were fine as long as you stayed small, as long as you didn't threaten their own sense of importance. But the moment you grew, the moment you started chasing more, you exposed their own fear of growth, and rather than growing with you, they choose to tear you down with words, hoping to poison your name in places you haven't even reached yet. That's how gossip works. It's an attempt to assassinate your character because they can't compete with your character. And then there's another trick they use disguised as advice. You see, not every piece of advice is meant to help you. Some advice is given to slow you down, to make you doubt yourself, to clip your wings before you even realize you can fly. They'll tell you things like, don't aim too high, you might get disappointed. Or you should probably play it safe, just in case it doesn't work out. It sounds like care, it sounds like concern, but if you listen with a wise heart, you'll hear the fear behind their words. Their advice isn't about protecting you, it's about protecting their comfort. If you rise too high, they have to look at themselves and wonder why they didn't move. If you succeed too much, they have to face the reality of their own wasted potential. So they wrap their fear up in a neat little box labeled advice and hand it to you, hoping you'll carry their doubts instead of your dreams. And if you're not careful, you'll start internalizing their limitations. You'll start questioning your own path. You'll begin shrinking your dreams just to fit into the small world they feel safe living in. That's why you've got to be so selective about whose advice you take. Not everyone advising you is rooting for you. Some are simply afraid of what your success might say about their failure to act. The truth is, real friends, real family, real supporters, they don't get scared when you win. They get inspired. They don't find ways to make your success seem smaller. They make it feel bigger. They brag about you behind your back. They tell people, I know her. She's amazing. I'm proud of him. He's killing it. True friends celebrate your victories as if they were their own. They're not secretly hoping you fall so they can feel better about staying on the ground. They're not waiting for the day you struggle so they can finally feel superior. No, real friends are at your side when you climb. They're cheering from the bottom when you're halfway up. And they're the first ones waiting at the top to hug you when you make it. You don't have to beg real people to clap for you. You don't have to second guess whether they're happy for you. Their energy tells you everything. Their presence feels like home, not a competition. They don't make you feel guilty for dreaming big. They don't minimize your milestones. They don't let their insecurities get louder than their love. And when you fall, because everybody falls sometimes, they don't say, I told you so. They say, get up, I'm still with you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something today that might just open your eyes. Not everybody who smiles at you is happy for you. Some people, they carry envy in their hearts, but they hide it behind soft words and fake applause. The truth is, when you start doing something different, when you start rising, you disturb the comfort of people who decided to stay in the same place. That's why they try to downplay your success. They say things like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, or anybody could have done that. But don't be fooled. That's not humility talking, that's envy. Because every time you win, it reminds them of their losses. Every time you shine, it exposes the darkness they've chosen to live in. And instead of fixing their own situation, they focus on tearing you down, even if they do it with sweet words. Then they're the ones who get even slicker. They don't attack you directly, they come at you with compliments. But those compliments got poison hidden inside. They'll say, look at you getting fancy now, with a smile on their face, but their eyes will tell you the truth. Or they'll say, wow, you're lucky, trying to erase all the hard work you put in and make it seem like you just stumbled into success. That's hidden resentment talking. It's their way of pretending they're on your side while they quietly hope you fall. Real supporters don't give you compliments that make you feel small. Real friends lift you up with their words. But fake ones, they'll wrap their jealousy in a pretty package and hand it to you like it's a gift. And if you're not paying attention, you'll start believing them. You'll start thinking maybe you really didn't do anything special. That's how they get you, by planting doubt while pretending to cheer you on. And let's not forget about the ones who only show up when things go wrong. When you're winning, they're nowhere to be found. They're silent when you get that promotion, when you buy that house, when you hit that milestone. But the minute you fail, oh, now they've got time. Now they're blowing up your phone, acting concerned, saying, I just wanted to check on you. But where was that energy when you were rising? See, some people feel bigger when you're broken. Your struggle makes them feel better about their own situation. They don't celebrate your wins because your success is a mirror showing them everything they're not doing. But your failure, that makes them feel good because now you're back on their level. That's why they show up, not out of love, but out of hidden joy that you've stumbled, and they'll pretend they care, but deep down they're smiling while you're hurting. But perhaps the loudest sign of secret hate is gossip. When people talk about you behind your back, they're not just passing time, they're waging war on your name. They'll sit in rooms you're not in and try to destroy everything you built, word by word. They can't handle your rise, so they try to pull you down through lies, half-truths, and whispers. And often, it's the people you trusted the most. They'll say, oh, I'm just worried about her. But really, they're planting seeds of doubt in other people's minds. They want others to question your character because they can't compete with your success. They can't stop you in the open, so they attack you in the shadows. And if you're not careful, their words will reach places before you do, poisoning opportunities and relationships. That's why you've got to be wise about who you let close. Not everyone who shares your table deserves a seat. Because while you're busy feeding them, some are busy sharpening their knives. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real today. When you start winning in life, you won't just attract applause. You'll also attract silent enemies. They won't come at you directly, no. They'll come dressed as friends, family, co-workers, even mentors. But deep inside, they're carrying envy that burns every time they see you rise. They'll start small by downplaying your success. You could be breaking records, building something great, and they'll look you in the face and say, well, it's not that special, or anybody could have done that. They'll smile while they say it, but their goal is to shrink your shine. Because your success makes them uncomfortable. It reminds them of every risk they didn't take, every dream they abandoned. So rather than admit they let fear control them, they'll try to make you feel like you're not doing anything extraordinary. And if you're not careful, you'll start believing them. You'll start lowering your own bar just to make them feel comfortable. But it doesn't stop there. Some people get slicker with it. They'll give you compliments, but those compliments come with a bitter taste. They'll say, oh, look at you now, acting all important, with a smile, but behind that smile is resentment. Or they'll call you lucky, as if everything you worked hard for just fell into your lap, and you'll feel it in your gut, because real compliments lift you. Fake ones make you feel small, make you question yourself, make you wonder if maybe they're right, and that's exactly what they want. To plant a little seed of doubt inside your success so you never feel fully proud of what you've done. Then they're the ones who only show up when you fall. When you're winning, they're silent, nowhere to be found. But the minute you stumble, suddenly they care. Suddenly, they've got time to call, to visit, to check on you. But let's be real. They're not showing up out of love. They're showing up because your failure makes them feel better about themselves. Your struggle brings you back down to their level where they feel safe. They couldn't handle your rise, but they're more than ready to comfort you when you fall, because deep down, they're happy to see you broken. And they'll disguise it as concern, but you've got to see through that act and recognize it for what it is. Hidden joy at your pain. And you'll notice, as you rise higher, the gossip gets louder. People will start talking about you behind your back, twisting your story, making up lies, planting doubts in places you haven't even reached yet. And it hurts most when it comes from those you trusted. But make no mistake, gossip is not harmless. It's a weapon used by people who can't fight you face to face. They see they can't stop you directly, so they attack your reputation in the shadows. And if you don't protect your name and your space, their words will travel ahead of you, closing doors before you even get there. That's the level of hate some people carry. And they'll smile at you while they're doing it. And then they'll come with a so-called advice. They'll say things like, don't aim too high, you might get hurt. Or maybe you should slow down, take it easy. It sounds like care, but it's really fear. Their fear projected onto you. Because if you keep rising, they'll have to face their own failure to move. So they package their insecurity as wisdom and try to hand it to you like a gift. But you've got to be sharp enough to recognize that not every piece of advice is meant to help you. Some advice is meant to sabotage your confidence and keep you stuck where they feel safe. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get one thing straight today. Not everyone who claps when you win is actually happy for you. Some people are clapping with their hands while their heart is boiling with envy. And the first sign is the way they constantly downplay your success. You could be making real moves, changing your life, breaking barriers, and they'll hit you with, it's not that big a deal, or anybody could have done that. They do this because every time you rise, it reminds them they stayed in the same place. Every time you shine, it shows them the dreams they gave up on. So they try to shrink your glow, make you feel like you're not doing anything special, just so they can feel better about their own lack of progress. If you're not careful, you'll start dimming your own light just to make them comfortable in their darkness. And then they get slicker. They come at you with fake compliments. They'll smile and say, wow, you're lucky, as if you didn't bleed for every win you got. Or they'll say, look at you now acting all big time, trying to make you feel guilty for growing. That's not love, that's resentment wrapped in sweet words. And deep down you can feel it, because real support lifts you. It makes you stand taller. But fake support, it leaves you questioning yourself, second-guessing your worth, wondering if maybe you really don't deserve all you've achieved. That's how they get inside your head, by pretending to celebrate you while quietly hoping you fall. And you'll notice something else about these people. They only show up when things go wrong. When you're winning, they're silent, nowhere to be found. But the minute you stumble, suddenly they're available. Suddenly they want to check on you, but they're not checking on you out of love. No, they show up because your failure comforts them. Your struggle brings you back down to their level where they feel safe. They couldn't handle your rise, but they're more than ready to comfort you when you fall, because deep down, they're smiling at your pain while acting concerned on the outside. That's not support. That's hidden hate finding its moment. And when that's not enough, they take it further. They start gossiping about you behind your back. They can't stop you face to face, so they attack your name in rooms you're not even in. They spread lies, twist your story, plant doubts in people's minds because they hope their words can do what their presence can't. Bring you down. And it cuts even deeper when it comes from those you trusted. But make no mistake, gossip is a weapon, and they use it because they know your success threatens everything they've built their comfort on. So they try to poison the waters ahead of you, hoping to block doors before you even knock on them. And then they come at you with advice, not real advice, but sabotage dressed up as wisdom. They'll tell you, don't aim too high, you might get disappointed, or you should slow down, take it easy. It sounds caring, but listen closely. It's their fear, not yours. They're trying to project their own limits onto you, because if you keep rising, they have to face the fact they never even tried. So they wrap up their insecurity, put a bow on it, and hand it to you like a gift. But you've got to be sharp enough to see it for what it is. An attempt to make you doubt your own path, to lower your ceiling just so they don't feel small in comparison. Because here's the truth. Real friends, real supporters, they don't just show up when you fall. They're loud when you win. They brag about you behind your back. They celebrate you openly, not secretly wish for your fall. They don't give advice that makes you shrink. They push you to dream bigger. They don't gossip to tear you down. They defend you when you're not around. And they never, ever downplay your success, because they're secure enough in themselves to cheer while you rise.